WWE Armageddon 2003. I'm getting those pants though. Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? It's probably what Christian and Jericho said to Trish and Lita, huh? Yeah, it'll make sense later. They have a match. It's the whole thing. But hey, if you like the faction Evolution, you're gonna love this little ditty. Trust me. And if you don't like Evolution, pretend I didn't say that last thing. There's no Evolution on this show. What are you talking about? This show is all Maven and Ivory. That's all that's on this show. And I guess that's not really going to keep you listening either. Why don't you just mind your own business and stop asking me so many questions and just take a listen or a watch to the Apron Bump podcast.
It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you the hardest. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get it started.
Howdy, neighbors. Howdy. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump podcast. I am your host, of course, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. I am so fucking red, dude. Jeez Louise. I'm just looking at myself in this camera. I think it's... Okay, so I just got out of the shower, right? Let me start off hot. Let me start off hot here with the question for you folks. How often do you change your shower heads? Assuming... I mean, I'm talking to wrestling fans, so I'm assuming you guys take showers. But... No, because I feel like growing up, we just had a shower head and it lasted like decades. But every time I get a new shower head, it lasts like 6 months and then it just becomes like the water starts dribbling out like a morning erect penis piss. It's a great band name, by the way. But I just got a new shower head and I feel like now a fire hose is right in my face. So now my face is just burned. It felt great. But man, I don't really know where I was going with that. Hold on. I got something. The water pressure was pretty high, but not high enough to watch. Take two. The water pressure was pretty high, but not high enough to wash the stench of Armageddon 2003 off of my face. Come on now, folks. We're having fun. Whew. I didn't breathe there for a long time. Armageddon 2003 is here. The end of 2003 which is interesting because is that why Armageddon's at the end of the year? Because it's like the end of... Huh. Well, that's a lot of fun. But this show wasn't. The pay-per-view, the podcast is a hoot. This episode you're about to listen to is, Grammy-nominated Great Splendor. But Armageddon 03, not the best show. I would argue, and we talk about this, maybe the worst show of 2003 in terms of pay-per-views. 2003 had some good pay-per-views, though. Like, the resume of shows, both, the Big Four and the brand-exclusive shows. SmackDown's still great. It's been great all year. Raw, the TV's been very hit and miss, more miss than hits. But the pay-per-views usually deliver. Bad Blood was good. Unforgiven, I think, was okay. I don't know. But Armageddon was tough. We're really getting over the Evolution faction, which I get that. That's all fine and dandy, but just not a lot of good stuff. We do got Randy Orton and RVD having a great match. We got some interesting characters popping up. Really interesting, storyline progressions. We kind of wonky kind of finishes and branches, forks in the road. You know how it goes with this pro wrestling deal, but it's an interesting show, if nothing else. But yeah, not the most powerful product provided to us from the World Wrestling Entertainment. But that does not stop me and my guest from having a good old time talking about it. Brought back on my boy Matt from the Wrestling Corner, formerly the Pro Wrestling Podcast with Matt and Friends. He thought that title was too easy to say, so he's changed it to the Wrestling... No, I'm just kidding. Smart rebrand. But Matt does a lot of good work over there. You can check out his interviews with various wrestlers all across the independent scene, as well as some prediction shows, which you'll find my face on from time to time. And just whatever tickles his pickle. Matt's a good old boy, as you'll see from this show. Very entertaining dude. handsome cock on that guy. And the Wrestling Corner. Check him out on YouTube and all of his various socials. I'll put all of his info in the description below. He's got a link tree you can follow. He's a good follow on X as well, etc. So do all of that. Give my boy some love and give me some love as well while you're just loving people at Apron Bump on all the social medias. Been pretty heavy on the TikToks and the shorts and the Instagram reels and whatnot lately. So go give those a check out ski. If you like this type of episode, you like this era of wrestling, early 2000s into mid 2000s, you can go to apronbump.com and you can go to the episodes tab. You could select whatever era, whatever promotion you'd like to hear me cover chronologically. You can select Ruthless Aggression era, and that'll bring you to all of the RA shows that I've covered, starting from the very beginning. Vengeance 02, I believe, is the first technically Ruthless Aggression show. But I've covered shows back to Royal Rumble 01. So if you want to check out 01, 02, and now 03, which now I've completed all those years, go give it a check out at apronbump.com. I'll put a link in the description below as well for that. What else? Join the Discord. If you're watching on YouTube, give it a like, give it a subscribe, comment. If you're watching on Spotify, rate, review, thumb in my belly button until I make a noise resembling the Pillsbury Doughboy. Num 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 num. Is that a dated reference now? Is that still a thing? I don't know. Well, while I go check that out, why don't you check out this episode? WWE Armageddon 2003 with myself and Matt from the Wrestling Corner podcast. Look, man, whatever you want to be, I'll accept you. Unless
I want to be a part of the Motor City Machine Guns. That's what I want to do.
That's good. You stopped me from being racist right there. I appreciate you. That's a good shirt, man. I like it. Did you just get it?
I did. It came in the mail today, and I was like, ooh, sexy.
Damn, fresh off the presses. I mean, they just debuted, and you're already wearing their merch? Mad props.
Of course, dude. Hey, listen, I waited for so long for them to be where they're at today. I mean, been a fan of theirs since, 2003, dude. And then they teamed up in 2006 or 2007, and boom, here I am. Mm-hmm. Like, waited for this moment forever.
Insane, because the TNA I'm watching right now is when they're just starting to team up. And now it's like 20 years later, and they're finally in the Fed, as they say.
It's my dream, dude. I mean, like I've told people numerous times, like Saban's my third favorite wrestler of all time. I really, truly believe Alex Shelley's the greatest all-around professional wrestler ever. So,
you sure it's not Mark Jindrak or who else is on this show? You sure it's not Batista or Val Venus?
No. I'm pretty sure it's Val Venus. 100% greatest wrestler of all time.
I mean, it's actually a pretty good segue. We're talking about the tag scene nowadays and how good it is. It's a stark contrast to December of 03 on the Raw brand. Yikes. But we won't blow our load yet. We'll get to that when we get to that. But,
we can blow whatever we need to blow, Kyle, you know?
I'll blow. I'd rather blow my cock off than watch this show again. Use Armageddon 03. So you actually specifically requested to hop on for this one. What about Armageddon 03 tickles your cockles?
So, dude, of course, Evolution winning all the titles. I mean, that was Evolution's my favorite faction of all time. So, I mean, that was just so iconic to me. To see them all draped in gold, killing it, you know.
Better than the Horsemen, better than NWO, better than New Day, better than the Undisputed Kingdom.
Undisputed Kingdom's number one. I mean, no, let's do Jericho Appreciation Society. There you go.
Right, that's a good one. What was MJF's one that he half-ass started?
It was with Wardlow, FTR, Sean Spears, The Pinnacle.
Well, no, there was that, and there's another one. It had Stokely in it. I think like Lee Moriarty was in it. Big Bill might have been in it.
Yeah, that was we don't even talk about that because that was like a 1 week thing, and then it just like gone.
So bad. Well, Evolution is definitely not the worst faction, given that information. But
as you can tell, I'm moving. By the way, just so you know, there's boxes in the corner.
I thought that was like an Evolution poster in the background. I was like, man, what are the odds? What is that
No,
back
that's
there?
Hurt Business. Hurt Business.
Oh, okay. Four gentlemen
Got
looking at
us,
you as you sleep, right?
dude. Four gentlemen looking at me. I had Bloodline up there as well. I had Undisputed Era. I had Street
Mm.
Profit. I just had a bunch of dudes looking at me while I'm getting undressed and ready to
Hey,
shower and everything I need to do. It's weird
whatever
playing with
does it for you,
myself.
man. No one's judging here. The judgment-free zone on the apron bump. Um,
Oh, absolutely.
so yeah, Evolution. I mean, this is the Evolution show. Basically, not a lot going on otherwise. Yeah, I
No,
mean, Evolution. It's a weird because technically they've been a faction for like a year at this point, but they didn't really get going until pretty soon before this.
middle
Injuries to
three.
Batista, Randy and Batista were injured for most of '03.
Yeah, yeah.
Technically got together in January of '03.
Yep.
But yeah,
It was
so
an interesting year for Evolution, but at like early fall to late 2003 is where Evolution really started to showcase what Evolution was.
right. Yeah, I mean in hindsight, obviously you see Batista and Randy in there as the young bloods of the group, and we could know what they would go on to do. So obviously it's probably one of the most successful factions for sure, as far as elevating new talent, and Triple H.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the faction ran Raw for a few years, so depending how you look at it, yeah, definitely one of the best for sure. I don't know. I don't know if this show, rewatching Raw in this time period, man, it's just like not
It's
a lot of
interesting.
good. Like, I love most of the stuff with Kane. I like seeing a young Randy Orton. Like everything he's involved in is pretty good. The IC title scene's all right. RVD,
Yeah.
Christian, all that stuff. But we have
Booker
a
T.
Raw, yeah, Booker T. But this Raw exclusive pay-per-view really kind of showcases, in my opinion, how shallow the roster, or maybe just how bad the build was, because there was a few good matches on this show. Overall, it was, I think, maybe the weakest pay-per-view of '03. Would you agree?
And I think with that being said, too, before we get started, is like if you watch the Vince McMahon documentary, they even said like during the drafts around 2002, 2003, like they had to try to figure out because Raw was just on the decline where SmackDown was on the up.
Yeah.
Just killing it at that time compared to Raw. And it's sad to see that, but I mean, Raw being the flagship show, you should have had more depth. You should have had more stuff going on. And I just feel like there was some stuff just in this thrown together just because they didn't have a full match card and they were just like, oh, well, you guys had that one little part in the elimination tag match at Survivor Series, so we'll just throw you guys in a match. And that's where we started this whole show. It was with Mark Henry and Booker T.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well get into it because I think a lot of the pieces of the show are interesting to say the least. But before the first match, we got the national anthem being sung by Lillian Garcia. And I bring this up because I was very confused. It's like, it's December. It's not, WrestleMania. It's not like a holiday. Like, why are we singing the national anthem randomly? And then a little research plus the commentary alluded to it a few times. Apparently, it was either this day or the day before is when Saddam Hussein was captured. And I guess we're celebrating that. I don't know, but I don't know. Where were you when Saddam was captured?
Probably taking a shit, to be honest with you.
The whole day, during the whole process of him getting captured.
Yeah, dude, the whole time I was just sitting there on the toilet and enjoying myself, and whatever 12-year-olds do at the time.
Right, having some boiling hot shits. But speaking of boiling hot. Before we get into the match itself, actually, because we got Mark Henry versus Booker T opening up the stage. So we got, I love the pay-per-view sets from this time period. They're all so unique, depending on what the show is. And we got a lot of fire going on. You got the big A's on the stage with flames over it. But as Mark Henry's coming out for his match, he's the first guy out. I'm noticing like the ramp is on fire. Like where the ramp connects to the stage, like that whole corner was on fire. I was like, this is pretty dry. Like I get it, Armageddon, we're doing the fire thing, but I think that's a little overboard. And I'm pretty sure I heard some fire extinguishers during the match. So I think they set the stage on fire right by the commentary table, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
No, I didn't notice that. I was too busy looking at Mark Henry's crotch because his fucking shit was just bulging out the entire match.
And it's wet. I don't know what
And
it
it's
is, but
wet.
his bulge is always at least twice as wet as the rest of his body, and the rest of his body's pretty wet. So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
the crowd was hot for, since the beginning of the show. I mean, the crowd, and I think it was because they were so hot because the fire going on and Mark Henry's
that's
nuts,
fun. Yeah, yeah,
I think it was just the combination of too much hotness going on.
it's a good point. It's a good point. But yeah, like you alluded to, this match is happening because of that Survivor Series match. Mark Henry
Yeah.
eliminated Booker T, so now I guess we have a match. And they've been at odds on Raw in the weeks before this. They even had a street fight at some point, which okay, so they had a street fight on Raw, and now on the pay-per-view, we're just kind of a regular match. I don't know. Why not put the street fight on Armageddon? Give some sort of flavor and texture to the pay-per-view. I don't know. Whatever. Just a random match to open the show. The match is fine. Like you said, the crowd's hot
It wasn't
for
a
it.
bad match.
Not a bad match at all. There's a few points where Mark was a little sloppy, but he's still
Yep.
weird to say. He's still pretty green at this point. A lot of injuries have plagued him, and I think he's about to get injured again, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Not in this match, but overall, I mean, Booker's
Soon.
Booker. Booker was showing he was doing his Booker things. Crowd seemed to be hot for him. Mark, big bastard, scary looking. I get them trying to make him a prominent part of the show, but ultimately, Mark Henry loses to what is it? The scissors kick out of nowhere, basically. And Mark goes for a power bomb, which he kind of just slips and drops Booker, but Booker gets up and just hits a scissors kick out of nowhere, which is the second Booker hit one scissor kick earlier in the match, and I think it got a 2 count.
Henry kicked out. Yep.
Yeah, crowd was super hyped for it. By the way, I mean they had him. It was like a good match. And then a second scissors gets the win for old Booker. So, no, overall, what do you think about this one?
Solid opener. I mean, Mark Henry had a very sloppy power bomb, unfortunately. He big boy needed the ropes to get up a couple times.
He's a little gassed.
Crotched Booker T in the back of the head at one point. That was a very fun time.
I did like that. Yeah.
I mean, all in all, I've just always enjoyed watching Booker T, do his thing in the ring. His missile drop kick has always been fun for me. I don't know what it is, but I always love a good Booker T missile drop kick.
Right.
We didn't see a spinneroonie in this match, so I was kind of heartbroken.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, we see Mark Henry give Booker T a good hug in the middle of the ring, which was very sweet.
What a guy.
It was a bear hug, but it was still a hug nonetheless. But very good match. I mean, very solid opener from some openers that we do see. I thought it was good. Out of 5 stars, I gave it a 3. In between, I didn't think it was too bad, but I didn't think it was too great either. The 3 came from just Booker T alone because I mean he was pretty much wrestling himself. But other than that, the only thing that Mark Henry was wrestling with in that match was how his attire was adjusting to his penis.
You were super fixated on the bulge of the world's strongest
Dude,
man.
I was, and it was so mesmerizing. I was watching it with my fiance, and I was just like, "Molly, look at this! Look at his groin area."
And then she broke up with you to go get with Mark Henry. Man,
she did. How could you not? Right? I mean, I don't blame her.
Yeah, I mean, the bulge. His hair might be gray. He might be bald. That bulge is still there. That dick is still there. You know what I'm saying? Like it only gets bigger with age. So.
Oh, bigger with age. I mean,
at least I hope so.
He gives birth to body parts. I mean,
I don't think he gave birth to the hands.
Right. But you get what I'm saying. Like he took part of producing the hand.
That hand was his cum.
Yes. Which was very interesting.
Right.
I don't know how you come and get a hand, but hey, bravo.
I mean, technically, that's what's supposed to happen, right? You're supposed to have a baby with 2 hands. So it's really just a baby with no other body parts when you really think about it.
Yes, just one hand, and the rest of it stayed inside of Mae Young.
Still there to this day, some may say.
That's so weird. I can't believe that happened, man. Strange, but yeah, I mean, it was a solid opener. I can't talk shit about Booker T. He was in part of the first match that I ever watched, so I love Booker T. Always have, always will. So I can't talk negative about this match at all.
was it Booker versus Christian, the first match you ever saw? I
Yes,
think I remember. It was Bad Blood, right? Was that the first show you watched? No, that was somebody else.
Bad Blood 03. It was Bad Blood 03.
What year
Good
was it?
match,
03, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
but Booker T had some solid matches in 03, and he just got better and better. Booker T was always top tier.
He was reliable for sure, and yeah, like because I didn't remember this match, so I didn't remember who won this match, and I was kind of surprised to see Booker win. So I was kind of wondering, like, did they have plans for Booker, or did they maybe just like lose faith in Mark Henry, or did they just want to do? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like he, like we said, he was a little sloppy in this one, but you know, he had his time to shine. That running, you said crotch to the head. I guess that's the best way to describe it. It was like like Booker was on the second rope, leaning against it, like in a 619 position, but Henry just a flying asshole to the back of the head, which the crowd was like, oh my God, what the hell? So he was doing some good stuff, but yeah.
If you're around Mark Henry, just watch the back of your head.
Yeah, or just watch his asshole. Make sure it doesn't touch the back of your head.
Yeah, just don't watch his dick, because I did, and I was stuck on that for about 10 minutes. So.
He still is. You're going to be dreaming of that.
Usually. Speaking of dreams, the next match was solid.
I was going to say, speaking of dicks. Well, before the next match, we're in I guess Eric Bischoff's office, and he's with Chris Jericho and Christian. We're going to be in a match later in the show against two ladies, Battle of the Sexes. But and we'll touch more on that story when we get to the match itself. But Eric's talking. He's like, "Oh, why did Booker win? Nah," because we're still, back to that Survivor Series, Team Bischoff versus Team Austin deal. And he starts talking to the Chris's, and they're blabbering. And then he hears Mick Foley's music, who is the new co-GM of Raw as of a few weeks before this. So Mick Foley comes out in a suit, which is pretty jarring. He gives us some news. So on Raw, he started a petition for fans to sign. Fans can sign online or in the arena to bring back Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Mick is telling us that it's reached 1 million signatures. And he says that's a cause for celebration. And what other way to celebrate than bringing Stacy Keibler out in a cheerleader outfit to show us her fat twat?
Yes.
Thoughts?
Man, I'm going to tell you what, Mick Foley, I don't think ever ages, right? Yeah. It's so crazy, because I feel like this dude has looked the same for 40 years.
His whole life, yeah.
Honestly, man, I gave Stacy's cartwheel a 7 out of 10. She
just a 7?
Just a 7, man. Mick Foley had an 11 out of 10. That was pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was something. So they're dancing.
No.
There's, you know what?
Obviously, Stacy's one of a kind, so you can't shit on her cartwheels or her legs for days.
I mean, why have her wrestle in a match? She's here to be a cheerleader.
Right? And just do a cartwheel.
I've never understood, like, I know it's 03, it's a different time, but I've never understood the fetish with cheerleaders or like schoolgirls. Are you into that? You into role play at all?
Yeah, actually the whole schoolgirl thing was my fantasy back in the day. Luckily for me, my fiance's a teacher.
So you're the schoolgirl in the scenario.
I am the schoolgirl. Yes, sir. Mini skirt and all.
Right.
She takes the ruler out once in a while. She has to.
Oh, okay. I see.
Especially when I've been naughty,
Right. Catch that on the Wrestling Corner Patreon.
Yes.
As these cartwheels are happening, we hear the music of Evolution, which brings out Randall Orton and Ric Flair. Orton grabs the mic and he's like, the party's over. And Orton's the one that sent Stone Cold Steve Austin out in the first place by winning that Survivor Series match. So he's like, I sent him out. It was me. And then he's getting in Mick's face, and Mick's like, oh, you want to go? And Mick starts taking his jacket off, which I'm like, whoa, too sexy. Let's calm down, Mick.
Right.
But he's unveiling a referee shirt because he's going to be refereeing the next match, which just so happens to have Randy Orton in there. Good thing Randy's in his wrestling gear because the next match is Randy Orton versus
impromptu match Mick Foley made. Let's go.
Come on now. This Mick Foley, his GM work just off the cuff like that, super impressive.
Right. He should have been general manager this entire time.
I mean, he was a great commish back in the day with the gavel and all the tomfoolery. So, yeah, shout out. But here, he is the special guest referee for the Intercontinental Championship match. We got the champion, Rob Van Dam, taking on Randy Orton. By far match of the night, I would say.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Honestly, their chemistry was off the charts. Van Dam versus Orton, absolutely incredible. Probably one of my favorite IC title matches in general. Something about them together was just special. I think Van Dam can work well with anybody. Orton can work well with anybody, and I think just the chemistry was just there. Very cool opening sequence in that match. Word for word, forgot what happened exactly. But I do know that match was fantastic, and I just was mesmerized by the entire thing. Like you said, match of the night, mostly. Man, Van Dam selling, no. I'll tell you this. Nobody can sell like Van Dam. Van Dam's just incredible.
Right. And it's interesting watching this because we take maybe some of the stuff Randy Orton does now for granted. But that draping DDT he does on RVD in this match, which I could be wrong. This could be the first time he ever did that move.
Yes. It was like right around there. I don't know if it was that match specifically because I didn't watch the lead up to it, but I know it was right around that time because if I'm not mistaken, he started doing it on the top rope at first, like the top turnbuckle.
Yeah.
And then killed Van Dam with it, and then was like, well, I'll just make it a little easier so nobody else dies.
Right. Well, RVD takes a fucking DDT like nobody's business. His neck like contort. He's like double jointed in the neck somehow. I don't even know how that works. Yeah. But he looks like he snaps his neck on this draping DDT. And I think you're right. I think like on Raw the next week, I think he does it from the top rope to RVD. And he's like, well, that's a pretty badass move. I guess I'll just keep doing it for the next couple decades.
Kill people. Yep. 100%. He sold that DDT like a champ too, though. Like 100%. Yeah.
No, RVD is one of the best sellers of all time for sure.
This match was just incredible. Probably one of my favorite Van Dam and Orton matches in general, like solely. And of course they were together. But yeah, I mean, I can't speak for this one enough. Like if anybody whoever watches this, like if you have never seen this match, it's definitely one of those matches you need to go out of your way to check out. It was a really solid match from top to bottom.
No, yeah, like you said, their styles, they just meshed so well together, like different styles. But the way RVD is able to contort and bump made Randy look like a killer. And Randy's still super new at this point. So whatever you have to do to make Randy look good is going to be super valuable for the future. So, yeah. Like you said, like at the beginning of the match, like all the chain wrestling and reversals, like super smooth and fluid, like just a stark contrast from the previous match. Mick Foley's in there. He doesn't get involved too much. He's really just there to kind of neutralize Ric Flair on the outside. There's some point where that's towards the end where Flair has like brass knucks and he's trying to, hit RVD with it, but Foley knocks him off the apron.
Like, no. Yeah.
It just clobbers him. The one
and
spot
then Orton
that really
clobbers Van Dam with an RKO.
Dude, yeah. And again, another move where RVD, the way he sells it, it looks like a life ender. But that gives him the win.
RVD could get hit by a bus and sell that fantastically. Like I don't know what it is, but Van Dam can sell literally anything. He could sell a paper cut. Like, dude is absolutely insane.
I mean, the way he sells when Rob goes to the top rope and Randy pushes him to the outside and Rob just flies into the barricade from the top rope. This looks devastating. Then Randy gets out there, hits a beautiful drop kick on the floor. I mean,
Van Dam's taken that bump quite a few times where he hits the barricade and flops around. And
I don't know how this dude's still walking. to be
I
honest.
don't either, man, but he's still killing it. I mean, rumor is he's about to show back up on TV, so who knows?
I think, is that next week that happens?
Yes, but I think you'll be posting this probably after the fact.
Right. So, yeah, crazy to see Rob on NXT last night, right?
Yes.
Two Cold Scorpio showed up. Fucking Hack Myers was there. It was wild. It was wild.
Big Cash, he shows up.
I
Chris
mean-
Candido, rest in peace. Somehow he's there.
I can tell you have a very specific era of ECW that you've watched. Just Incredible was there.
Incredible was there.
Roadkill. I mean, all the stars. All the stars.
ECW Zombie. He was there.
Ezekiel Jackson. I do think Ezekiel Jackson will show up. You know, memes
I do
aside.
too. And Vladimir Kozlov and William Regal, all three together.
Right. Well, Zeke is the current ECW champion, so it would only make sense.
Yes. Longest reigning.
Yeah, longest reigning champion of all time.
All time. Any promotion. Ezekiel Jackson.
He's the GOAT. I always say it. He's the GOAT. Is something domination. But hey, we got Randy Orton winning his first title here. So big moment. Like you said, he follows up with the RKO, gets the pin. And I do like this little detail because Foley and Orton have been at odds for a while.
Yes.
Foley makes the 3 count, and you can see on the replay as Foley hits the 3, he's like, damn, like as he's counting. So just little things like that tie this whole thing together. And yeah, just a pleasant match to watch. You know, if anybody is thinking about watching anything from this show, this would be the match to watch for sure.
I would have thought you would have went with Mark Henry, you know. Well, I would have went with Mark Henry. Groin.
Right. If you just want one frame to look at all day, definitely his wet package. But speaking of wet packages, we got 2 packages versus 2. What's the female equivalent? What's the female equivalent of pack? Is it still package?
Boxes?
Box 2. Oh, is that why they call them boxes? Like as a opposite of package? Makes sense.
I thought a package was the same thing as a box. No, not necessarily.
Well, technically, like if you mail something out, you put the package in the box, right?
Yeah. So
I
guess
female
that
connection.
would make sense. Yeah.
Inside, outside. Yeah, it all checks out to me. But
yeah. Usually you address your boxes too, you know what I'm saying? Like
or undress your boxes, you know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
You like that? You like I'm doing your nipple
I
right
do
there?
like that, dude. I can't wait to undress your box. You know
what?
I'm saying?
We got Battle of the Sexes here. We got Chris Jericho and Christian versus Lita and
true
Trish
love story.
Stratus. I mean, okay. Do you remember the build up to this, right?
Yes.
Well, why don't you
Yes, I
inform the
do.
people of what you remember from this build up?
So based off of what I remember is they literally had this bet of who could sleep with one or the other first. So Christian
For $1
had this whole
Canadian
thing where-
dollar.
$1 Canadian dollar. And then Christian had this whole goal of he's gonna sleep with Lita first. Jericho's like, I'm gonna bang Trish first. And then I remember, you know, with the promo package, they're in the locker room and Christian's like, $1 Canadian, and Jericho smiles from ear to ear like it's $1 million and it's just $1 fucking dollar. And Trish is outside crying over $1. She's like, and she was like, I got paid more when I was barking like a dog. But
That's true.
I mean, you know, it is what it is, you know. It was a very interesting setup. I mean, Trish was falling in love with Jericho. Lita was like, I remember Lita was kind of like, I'm skeptical.
Right.
And then obviously Lita was like, I told you so. You know, but I think this buildup was very interesting because it led for the next few months to come until WrestleMania that year.
Mhm.
But it was a very fun beginning to see this happen. And I mean, like I said, what a true love story this was. I mean, very, very compassionate. I think it's the greatest love story in professional wrestling history.
It is a love story. That's for sure. That's for sure. So a few more tidbits from this build. So one thing that happened is that Matt Hardy was traded to Raw. He wasn't traded. I guess his SmackDown contract ran out and he went to Raw. So Matt Hardy's on Raw now. He comes back. He reunites with Lita. He has a match, I think teaming with Lita or maybe like by her side some way. whatever the case is, after the match, Matt Hardy gets on one knee like he's about to propose to Lita. But then he ends, I forget what exactly he says, but he's like,
nope, psych, bitch.
I'm trying to remember, what was the reason? He was like, you held me back, or, he was like, you never came to SmackDown and saw, it was some stupid shit. Matt Hardy's a dick, is the point here. And Christian, because remember, Christian's trying to nail Lita, as he says. So Christian's coming to her aid, beating up Matt Hardy. They have matches on Raw. Christian and Matt do. Christian.
It's kind of ironic that Christian was trying to bang Lita, but Edge finally did.
It's a whole circle, a vicious circle, triangle, square, whatever it is. But Eric Bischoff's team at Survivor Series, which Christian was on, as was Jericho, every member of that winning team got a special favor from Eric Bischoff. It could be whatever. Christian uses his favor to save Lita's job because Lita was fired by Eric Bischoff on Raw. So that's kind of what sways Lita. Because like you said, at first Lita was like, oh no, this creepy little bastard. I don't know if I'm about it. But then he sees that he's sincere. So Lita's like, okay, I'll hang out with this guy, et cetera, et cetera. On the other side of the coin, Jericho going after Trish. So this whole thing starts as a bet. Your meeting will end in 10 minutes. Oh, do I got to start a new fucking meeting? I thought
probably.
Well, I'll finish this, then we could probably start a new one. But yes, Jericho, it started as a bet, but Jericho ends up actually having feelings for Trish, which we get subtle allusions to this in this match. I don't know. I kind of have problems, a few problems with Jericho and his selling of the story within the match, but I guess we can get into it.
He was like back and forth with how he felt. Like he was like, I want to beat the shit out of her, but I don't. Right.
Because the earlier segment, Christian was like all gung-ho about this match. He was like, yeah, we're going to show those women what's what. And Jericho's like, guys, I don't know if we really need to do, because this is all Eric Bischoff's idea, by the way.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, as the entrances are happening, JR compares Eric Bischoff to Saddam Hussein, which I don't know if that's exactly apples to apples, but I see where he's coming from, I guess. Who do you think's worse? Who do you think's worse, Eric Bischoff or Saddam Hussein?
Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah, that's the correct answer. I knew you would get it.
Yeah.
I knew you would get it. But yeah, I mean, the match is like, it's a silly fucking match. It's an intergender match. There's no punching to the head of the women, but there's elbows to the faces of the women, which I guess is okay.
I think, didn't Jericho like deck Lita or something with an elbow to the face? Or
and JR was like, well, he's not using his fist. It's okay. He's like, is it though?
It was very interesting. I mean, the match, consisted of Trish getting spanked by Jericho, which I wish was me.
Right.
Who doesn't want to get spanked by Jericho?
Everybody does.
It consisted of Christian taking Lita's top off like it's a bra and panties match, and then paying for it with a royal shot to the nat, which was fun. Probably why Christian now steals other people's children, because he can't have any more of his own.
So you think that all stems from him getting kicked in the nards by Lita?
I do. I think this has been a 20-year build-up to where he's at now.
Interesting thought. I might have to mull that over for a little bit, but it makes sense, just from the initial.
No, I think so too. I mean, granted, he had a kid like years later, and that was his first and I think only kid. So I mean, what I'm saying makes no sense, but we'll just imagination. But we've seen the match pretty much end with Christian rolling up Trish like it's the greatest victory of his career, which JR actually said, like, it's like Christian celebrating like he won the World Heavyweight Championship. And I was like, nailed it. Which I guess when you pin Trish, it is the greatest victory of your career.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. The overall story here, Christian's the dick. He has no problem beating up these women. But Jericho is where my issue comes, because he doesn't want to hurt Trish, because he actually likes Trish, even though Trish doesn't think so. But Jericho has no problem just kicking the shit out of Lita. Good Lord, he tosses her to the barricade. He's doing back elbows. I mean, he's clobbering her. but we're supposed to empathize with him, I guess. Is the thing.
He's like, I love Trish and I would never beat up a woman, but Lita, I'm gonna kill you.
Right. So it's like, I don't know. Like, and then Christian gets the roll up out of nowhere because Jericho's consoling Trish. He's like, I'm sorry, are you okay? And then Christian sneaks up behind Trish, rolls her up, and then Christian's celebrating, and Jericho's like, kind of indifferent on the situation.
Christian's like walking up the ramp, and Jericho's like, let me cry because my love is pinned by Christian.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, something about the way Christian folded her up, I think, was why she turned on Jericho at WrestleMania the following year. So,
well, it's interesting. I had that in my mind watching this match. I don't think Christian ever hit Trish in this match. I don't know if they had this planned out that far ahead, but maybe the seeds are being planted inside me. So,
I don't know.
Yeah. Any other nuggets on that one? It was a silly thing. It's planting the seed for WrestleMania. It's something different, like the women getting some moves in on the men. It was kind of fun. Pretty short match, maybe like 4 or 5 minutes, but it progressed the story, so it wasn't terrible in my opinion.
It was okay. I mean, I think it was a good in-between match filler for sure.
Yeah.
For big names in the wrestling business now, you look back and you're like, this is what they had them doing. But
yeah,
I mean, at the same time, I think, it kind of helped shape where their careers are now. So I mean, can't take anything away from it.
It shows how big Trish and Lita are at this point, if nothing else, if they're in the ring with like Jericho and Christian. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see how that progresses. But got me pretty wet. Speaking of wet, the wettest man of this entire show is up next, and you know who it is.
Ric Flair.
Actually, yeah, you might be right. The second most wet is Batista. He's here.
Yes.
And he is here to face HBK, Shawn Michaels. HBK versus Batista, one-on-one on a pape. This is Batista's, I don't know if it's his first big match here, but it's definitely the biggest match of his career at this point. So, yes. I don't know. How do you think the Animal did here?
I think the Animal really tried to stop the show here. I think, well, first things first is Batista, also like Orton, said that he ended Steve Austin's career.
Right.
We can't forget about that. And now he has to fight one of the greatest of all times, and this match, I would have absolutely loved to also punch Ric Flair in the face and skip away like Shawn Michaels did. I thought that was genius. Who wouldn't want to punch Rick in the face and then skip away scot-free?
He was all up in his shit, to be fair, so he kind of deserved it.
Literally and figuratively. But I mean, very smooth baseball slide under Batista's legs to the outside of the ring and then decked Flair, right, which I thought was very, very smooth.
It was a glimpse of like the old school cocky Shawn Michaels, the way he just casually did it and, like you said, skipped away. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and then Shawn Michaels just has the swagger and he just like skips and like sways his arms. Like, I don't know what the fuck he does, but I mean, right, hey, the fans love it, so I loved it. I thought it was fun. But all in all, this match was really solid. I think it really brought like the attention to Batista of what he's capable of in those big spotlight matches. Nothing really stuck out to me in this match fully, other than the greatness of Shawn Michaels. Fancy little elbow drop, and then he gets spine busted like 17,000 times in a row, But other than that, I mean, it really didn't tickle my fancy that much, which is very surprising because I do really love both of these wrestlers. I think they're both fantastic. I mean, obviously one over the other, but
I mean, yeah, it was to me, this was kind of like a better version of the opening match. Booker and Mark Henry is very similar. You have a big, strong guy, a smaller guy, big guy beats on the littler guy for the entire match. Little guy comes back with the comeback and, gets the win. So very similar, but better.
Shawn Michaels elbow drop equivalent to Booker T's missile drop kick. And
yes. Good call. Bear hugs. Batista had to do at least one bear hug in this match, no?
I don't think so. I think he just spine busted him like 7 times.
There were some rest holds for sure. I mean, he was wet. He couldn't have just been going full bore the entire time.
Yeah, I think there was a part where he did have him in like a bear hug and like the dripping sweat from his fucking forehead to his nose and
Must
just
have been super humid in
boogers.
this arena. I mean, everybody's Christian was glistening even. Mark Henry, we talked about his big package, how wet that was. So
yeah,
shout out to these fellas. Orlando, Florida, I guess.
it might have been the fact that it was Armageddon and it was just on fire and
you know what? That actually makes more sense. The literal fire on the stage the entire night probably did that.
they turned down the air conditioning in there just to give you the full effect.
I see. You gotta like it. It's the theme. Very thematic, if nothing else.
Great Balls of Fire, they did the same thing. They turned the heat down and they were just like, your balls are gonna be burning, bitch.
Right. But at that point, they just had one LED screen and just said Great Balls of Fire. They didn't have a flaming A. That's for sure. That's for sure.
I think the arena was just on fire from that flaming A, and it was just a lot. I mean, that was a gigantic A, too. I'm not going to lie. That A was ginormous. Probably bigger than Mark Henry's bulge.
Right. Well, speaking of flaming A's, I got no segue. But yeah, this match was pretty all right. Pretty forgettable. I mean, these two would have better matches like, 4 or 5 years down the line.
Yeah, I mean, what really upset me about this match, though, is because I remember, being so upset about this when it happened live, because 03 is when I started watching wrestling, and I instantly fell in love with Shawn. Like, Shawn was my favorite. Still is to this day. Still my favorite of all time. What upset me is, though, Shawn had a match against Triple H a few months previously, if I'm not mistaken, and when he super kicked Triple H in the face and went for the pin, his shoulders fell the same way they fell in this match. Somehow, he didn't get the win in that match. He got screwed out of the title. But this match was the exact same ending and still got the 3 count. So I want the record books to either erase this victory for Shawn or give him another title win.
I had the same notes. And yes, that match with Triple H was after this. But yes, it's like the exact same finish. Sweet chin music. Collapse on the fellow with Shawn's shoulders were on the mat as well, but he still got the 1, 2, 3. So a bit of a shoddy officiating, or just overall, maybe Eric Bischoff's kind of crooked. Who knows? I might be going out of line. Might be going out on a limb saying that, but I don't think his intentions are the best for old HB Kizzle.
No, I don't think so either. Now they might be later on in life, but I don't think they were at that point. I don't think he really cared too much about the showstopper.
No. I mean, it's like the first 80% of this match is kind of whatever. The ending stretch was really fun, though. The old Shawn Michaels comeback, the forearms, the kip ups, elbows, etc., etc. The crowd was with Shawn here. The crowd, the building was shaking. Like, they were super into this ending stretch here. Like when Shawn's tuning up the band, everybody's banging, doing it with him. He goes for the sweet chin music.
Banging. You've seen them throw each other across the fucking barricade and just start fucking,
I missed that. I need to go review the tape and see.
Maybe I had that in my dream last night. I might be mistaken. I watched a lot of wrestling fans fucking each other during the Shawn Michaels Batista match.
Right. It's a bit of a suspicious thought. Probably a dream. Probably.
Very strange. I don't know if I agree with myself on that. That was a little strange, out of pocket. But hey, we're here on the Apron Bump. There's a lot of out of pockets.
There's no in pockets. All pocket pussy.
In pockets.
Right.
Yes. 2 of them.
Well, speaking of pocket pussy, I will shout out though the sweet chin music. The first time he attempted it, Batista counters it into like a deadlift spine buster, which is really impressive. Like it was like he caught his foot, pulled him in like in midair, and just like leveled him up and just and then hit him with another one, and then goes for the Batista bomb. Shawn lands on his feet right into a sweet chin music out of nowhere, and then the finish. We talked about the finish, but yeah, solid match, pretty forgettable. But we're only at the beginning of old Dave here, Big Dave. So,
well, I don't think it was too forgettable because it led into the greatest match of all time on that card.
Talking about Matt Hardy versus Maven?
Yes. Matt Hardy,
Yeah.
I think that was the greatest victory in Matt Hardy's career.
I mean, 5 stars. Just the blood, sweat, tears, and cum that went into this match.
6 stars. It was the first 6-star match of all time.
Wow, that's really. I need to. You do your research, and I don't, which is really what kind of separates us. So I apologize for being so ignorant on this subject.
Okay. That's okay. I physically talked to Dave Meltzer, and I was like, "Hey, Dave, what did you think of this match?" And he was like, 6 stars, and I was like, "Agreed." He was like, "Gotcha."
He was like, "Well, you know, Matt Hardy, you know, Maven, you know, Maven's bald, you know, and Matt Hardy, you know, six you know, stars, you know."
Yeah. Matt Hardy has hair. It said something about him with his fingernails, and boom.
Right. That's a good point.
Did you know Matt Hardy can grow his fingernails immediately after cutting them?
I saw that you posted that earlier. What was that for? What were you watching where that came up? Was that from this?
That show. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that completely.
That was his Mattitude fact. And I was like, I love it. I got to ask him if that still is the case.
Bro, I saw Maven coming out and my brain and eyes just turned off. I was like, okay, none of this matters for a little bit.
Oh, man, you hated Maven? How do you hate Maven?
I'll tell you this. Peacock dubs over his music. And you realize very quickly that that's the only thing Maven had going for him. He was create a superstar #1. His theme was great.
His drop kick was cool as fuck, though. You got to admit he had a really good
he had the 3rd best drop kick at best. Jindrak and Orton have better drop kicks than Maven.
Yeah. So does Hardcore Holly. I mean, I'm not going to say Hardcore doesn't.
Right. Future WWE champion Bob Holly, of course. Of course, he has the best.
Yes.
Or should have been future.
Comes back with broken freaking neck and wins 17 world championships. Go Bob.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Speaking of 17 world championships, we got the 16-time world champion Ric Flair still in the ring with Batista. Except Batista is just lost. He's incensed. He's pacing in the ring. He's still wet. He's still in the ring while Maven is making his entrance, which allegedly this is a matchup that was set up on Heat immediately before this pay-per-view. Shows how well thought out this pay-per-view was. Maven and Matt Hardy is scheduled to happen.
And then not add a match.
Maven comes out. Batista's still in the ring. Batista's not leaving. Matt Hardy comes out before Maven can get in the ring. So they start brawling on the ramp. They start brawling, and then eventually Matt tosses Maven into the ring to get mauled by Batista. Hits him with a few clotheslines. Batista bomb. Another Batista bomb. And eventually the ref.
I think that's what Maven was good for, is getting murdered.
Getting murdered, and it's about it, actually.
Hardcore championship.
Yeah. He was with Simon Dean for a little bit. That was fun. Probably the peak of his career, to be honest. But
I did like him with Simon Dean. I can't shit on that. Like, I thought it was fun.
You could easily shit on that, actually.
Okay, I will shit on it. Fuck Simon Dean.
I have a question. Why does JR always call Batista's power bomb a tiger bomb? Is it because he's an animal? A tiger's an animal? Is that what he's going for? Or does he just think every sit-down power bomb is a tiger bomb? Tiger bomb's like a double underhook variation, right?
The only time I would really be worried about him calling the move a wrong thing is if somebody delivers a drop kick and he calls it a clothesline.
Right. Does he do that?
Maybe. Knowing JR? Possibly.
And nowadays, who knows? It's lawless.
I correct so many announcers, dude, on what they do. Like, they're like, he hit him with a neck breaker. I'm like, dude, that was an F5. Get the fuck out of here.
I think an F5 is kind of a neck breaker when you think about it, right? It's just a fancy version. Huh?
Face buster. I would call it more of a face buster than neck breaker, but
he breaks your neck and then drops you. But the real story here is that Matt Hardy
Tiger Bomb
gets the biggest win of his career. As the ref rules, it's a no contest, whatever. But Matt Hardy still does like a splash on the Maven and counts the 1, 2, 3 himself, and then grabs the mic and says, "The winner is Matt Hardy V1." Because we're still trying to get that over. That is the way the ship has sailed on V1, I think, unfortunately. But
you can't just say V1. You gotta V1.
V1. He's really trying to make that a thing. Yeah.
Emphasize on the 1.
It's good. It's good stuff. I don't know. Any thoughts on this whole Batista being upset, Maven dying, and Matt Hardy being a dick?
I think Batista getting more upset during this time, just more sweat was just gushing down. Like when you panic, you start sweating, and I feel like he was just in full ape shit mode and just wanted to murder somebody with his tiger bomb.
Fucking tiger bomb,
I think the tiger bomb was really good. He's an animal. We put two and two together there just a second ago.
Right.
You put two and two together. I just agreed. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, no, I mean, Matt Hardy had the greatest win of his career. Fuck the ECW title. Fuck the United States Championship, the multi-time tag team titles,
TLC,
TNA World title,
WrestleMania,
beating Maven in 2 seconds or
yeah.
3 seconds. Greatest win of all time.
It's really, props to Matt Hardy. Good for him.
Jumps off the top of the cage with a leg drop to Edge, bleeding profusely.
Who cares? Who gives a shit?
Who
right?
fucking cares, dude? Nobody cares. Matt Hardy will not die, especially when he beats Maven.
But you know who will die? Well, a couple people in this match. We got the World Tag Team titles on the line here in a gauntlet match. The longest match.
Get it right. Tag Team Turmoil. Turmoil, Kyle.
Oh, fuck it. Your turmoil. You can turmoil this dick in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Because I don't.
No, I love a good tag team turmoil match. They don't do them as often as they probably should still. But I mean, I thought it was fun. I mean, we'll say this: I love La Resistance from day one. I thought they
love them.
Liked.
You were
was okay.
Okay, that's more like it. You tolerated them?
I'll say this: knowing what Rob Conway can do outside of WWE and seeing what he's capable of, I do love Rob. I can't shit on Rob Conway. Now, I will say Renee Dupree.
You could shit on
Sylvain Grenier was the greatest model of all time. I'm not.
Stupid theme song.
Dude, I hated that theme song so much.
Thank God we never got to hear it because he was never on TV, but I digress.
Thank God. But no, I mean, we started the match with La Resistance versus the Hurricane and Rosie. Or as I like to call him, shit. We can't take that off. Started superhero in training, or Grimace, whichever you wanted to call him at the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, they started, the match with, superhero-like fashion, just doing their thing and flying around. And I mean, I won't take anything away from Rosie for being a big dude. I mean, he was fun to watch sometimes.
There was one point in this match where somebody in the crowd, you can hear, because the arena's quiet because nobody gives a shit about this match. One guy in the crowd's like, "You suck, fat ass."
Jesus. He was talking about the Hurricane.
Probably. Yeah.
No, I love the Hurricane. Hurricane's my all-time favorite superhero, so
more than Nikki ASH, more than Mighty Molly, more than who else?
Scripps.
Who? Scripps
from NXT.
Scripps a superhrow? I guess he was.
Dude, he had some Axiom. No, Axiom I do love. I can't say. Yeah. No, but Hurricane, I liked his gimmick since day one. So I've always been a fan of his. I mean, when Hurricane and Rosie eventually won the tag titles, I was a big stan of theirs, and coming from watching pro wrestling in 2003, I thought this was a fun time. Being 12 years old, who doesn't love a good superhero? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the beginning of this match, it was okay. I mean, obviously the heels did some heelish shenanigans, but not like Jindrak and Cade did after the fact. I mean, obviously, I'll tell you this: the move that they do where Rosie sits on the top turnbuckle and Hurricane climbs on his shoulders and does a splash,
it's pretty badass.
Fantastic. It was cool. So I mean, to obviously fly and get a win, dope. I'll take it. But I mean, the first part of the match was just kind of like, whatever. And then we seen, out comes Jindrak and Cade, who quickly get the win by rolling up the Hurricane 1, 2, 3.
Out
Easy
through the
pin.
back, through the crowd. Cheeky
Out through the
blokes,
back.
this Jindrak and Cade, yeah.
Yeah, both very underrated talents. I don't feel like they knew what the
Yeah.
fuck to do with these two. I thought they were both very talented. I just feel like they had no idea what to do with them.
The thing is, there were 1,000 other versions of these guys. Tall,
Yes,
pretty jacked guys with short hair. There's just and Randy Orton's the best one right now, so you gotta fight
and
against
obviously it comes down because it's still Vince McMahon's time. It comes down to if you could cut a promo, it's not about just in-ring work, it's about character work and all this other
Right.
shit. And Jindrak and Cade, I don't think really had that character work until Cade came back and
Cade
teamed
was
with Trevor
solid on the
Murdoch.
mic. He was fine, yeah.
He was. Jindrak, I don't think had that it factor as far as character work, but his in-ring work was fantastic.
Yeah.
I won't take anything away from what he did in the ring. I thought he was great. They got that quick pin. Out comes Val Venus. Oh God. And boring Lance Storm. Dude, during this time, I still love the fact that even though after he was a heel and he turned face, the crowd still chanted boring to Lance Storm.
Dude, they're chanting. I don't know if they're chanting it directly at Lance Storm. They probably are. But Lance Storm and Val Venus are a team. Why? Who fucking knows? I guess Val's trying to bring some character out of Lance Storm, but why is Val this guy? Val's trying to rekindle the old Val Venus, the old porn star deal, but nobody cares about it anymore. They got two random whores with them. Whatever, like there's a she's got herpes chant from the crowd. This is all in shambles. The tag division is in shambles. I got herpes watching this match.
So did my mom. It was weird.
Well, that's very interesting. She never told me that. But Val and Lance,
I remember watching this match live, and she came out and she's like, "Son, I've got herpes," and I'm like, "Mom!"
You guys got a weird relationship.
Yeah, I've got mommy issues. It's okay.
But I'm like, there are some decent portions of this match, like Val and Lance versus what do we got? Cade and Jindrak. Like there was some solid tag team wrestling in there, but there's just like none of these guys are over, so it lacks, the steam. Val hits it. By the way, Lance Storm does this like really fancy, like he's like in an arm wrench or wrist lock, and he like hops to the top rope and does a backflip, and then and then just gets punched right in the face by Jindrak. The timing and the comedy of that was fantastic.
Dude, I love Jindrak. He's just great. I just knocking his ass out.
Was goofy. Punch on him. Wasn't he like a legit boxer? Wasn't that like his thing? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
I think when he did like the mark of excellence or whatever, and he did like the fist and I don't know. When he was like the whole, look at me, I'm muscular and I'm going to stand in front of a mirror. And,
right, the reflection. Who could forget? The reflection.
Yeah. When Teddy Long was his general manager.
Good times.
Weird dynamic. But I mean, Cade and Jindrak beat Lance Storm and some dumb piece of shit. We don't even talk about that guy because
Val takes the pin. So that's good, right? Val takes the pin and Jindrak makes the pin while Cade is holding his partner's feet.
Thank God.
That'll
Venus sucks.
So Venus is out of there.
How that's possible, dude? Because you're not even holding their shoulders down. Like they can still like if somebody was holding my feet down, I can still fucking.
Well, you can't kick them off. Is the thing, right? Maybe Jindrak had his shoulders down. You can't think too much about wrestling physics. You'll get into a loop of insanity. So
yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I mean they beat them. Out comes the Dudleys, tag titles. Tag champions. Man, I love the Dudley Boys. How do you not love the Dudley Boys? You can't. They're probably my favorite out of the three, to be honest with you. Weirdly enough, and it's just because like the way they could still
the TLC 3.
Yeah.
Oh, suck my asshole. Best out of the
weirdly
three.
Enough, I think it's because the overhype on Edge and Christian and the Hardys. Like everybody sucks their dicks too much, and there's so many like good tag teams, and I feel like the Dudleys don't get the love that they deserve. So like I like to try to be the outcast. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I love the Hardys. I love Edge and Christian. I love the Dudleys. I don't know who I love more out of the three, to be honest with you. Motor City Machine Guns. Boom. There you go.
Above all of
Easy.
them. Val and Lance
Out of
Storm,
all
better
of them.
than all of them, of course. We all know this.
Yes. No, Val Venus and Lance Storm, I think, are number one.
Of course.
But besides that part, the Dudleys come out, go against Cade and Jindrak for a little bit. Cade
Pretty
and
good
Jindrak
match.
do their
Pretty good little mini match here.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think what sucked about this is I feel like afterwards they didn't capitalize on the momentum that Cade and Jindrak built in this match because they were doing really well, and I think they were just like, "Eh, you did what you did. See ya." We didn't get much from them, which sucked because I thought they were incredible. I thought they did great together. They were fun to watch, but
you know what would help is if Jindrak and Cade had matching gear. Which sounds silly to say, but it's so clear that they're just two individual dudes mashed together. Like Cade has these awful blue tights, just plain young boy blue tights, and Jindrak has whatever he's wearing, so they don't feel like a team. I thought
the same thing, and unfortunately, sometimes teams can get away with not having matching gear. Sometimes depends on the wrestlers. These were not two wrestlers that can go get away with matching gear. Like they needed something to stick out. Good wrestlers, just nothing there. But the Dudleys, come up with the victory.
3D.
The 1, 2, 3. Then you have the biggest tag team in the entire turmoil, which is Test and Steiner. Something about the dynamic of Steiner and Test I actually was a fan of, to be honest with you.
Come on, man. Don't tell me that.
I'm sorry.
You're a Steiner and Test stan?
Stan. But something about their dynamic I didn't hate.
I get it. Yeah, they're two dicks. I actually didn't mind it as much as I'm making it off, yeah.
And then you put Stacy Keibler into it too, and she's just like, "Why am I here?" And
well, that's the thing. I don't think she's a part of this anymore. Like they spent most of the year, Stacy was the centerpiece of their initial feud and then team. But now I don't even think Stacy's a part of the equation. So now you just have a random team of Scott Steiner and Test, which again, two dicks, two assholes. It meshes.
Two muscular assholes. Don't forget that.
I guess. Yeah, they're
roided out, muscular assholes. But no, I mean, I laughed so hard when Steiner was like, "Give him the boot."
Steiner.
Then he turns around and fucking I don't know who he was aiming for. I think it was Devon, but like he turns around and decks Bubba Ray, and then fucking turns around and Devon ducks it, and then gets fucking booted in the face.
Yeah, it's
Steiner. You wanted the boot. There you go. You got it.
Team cohesion's there. That's for sure.
But no, I mean, this match was all right. I mean, I would have rather seen Jindrak and Cade, just finish it off, and then Batista and Flair come out. I forgot Steiner and Test were a tag team at this point, to be honest, but it was just kind of like whatever. You've seen the heels doing their work. Scott Steiner doing his little elbow drop push-up combination, like whatever. Nothing spectacular about that, but the Dudleys get the win there too. And then all of a sudden, their music plays, and then Bishop hits, and he's like walking to the ring, strut style. He back better than ever. But anyway, comes to the ring, does his little stroll, gets on the mic, and he's like, "I said it's all the tag teams," and does good little Bischoff. You said good Bischoff? I thought so. I've been working on an impression just for this show.
It's not a good Bischoff. Eric Bischoff comes out. And so Bubba beats Test with the Bubba Bomb. Devon makes the pin. So they retain their titles, or so we thought, because Eric Bischoff's music hits. He comes to the ring. And Bischoff's like, "No, I said you had to beat all the teams." And meanwhile, the great selling by the Dudleys, by the way, as Bischoff is out there really selling the fact. I mean, they were like the second to last team out there, right? So in theory, like they're not as winded as they could be, but they did get attacked by Garrison Cade after their match, and then had a grueling match with Steiner and Test. So Dudleys are shaken from their match.
The way JR makes it seem is they've been wrestling the entire gauntlet. He's like, they did so much and they've been wrestling for so long in this matchup, and they were
Yeah.
like only out there for like a full 10 minutes.
They
Like,
should have started, I think.
yeah, because easily you could have dominated that entire run. I mean, granted, La Resistance did beat them for the tag titles earlier in that year, so
Right, but like, I don't know. Lance and Val. Yeah, just shit can those assholes. Who cares?
yeah. No, I agree 100%. I think that was just kind of like whatever. And then when JR said that, I was just like, what? I've seen them have tougher matches and get winded longer. So, and then
TLCs, etc. Yeah.
then you got to worry about Batista and a
Well,
bag of bones.
so Eric Bischoff is out there. He says you have to beat all the teams. The last team in this gauntlet turmoil, is Batista and Ric Flair. Batista, who had lost this match earlier. Ric Flair, who was consoling him. Ric Flair at a segment before this was like, "Don't worry, big man. I got a plan. We're walking out of here with titles." And lo and behold, here they come out, just completely eviscerate, pick the bones of the Dudleys. Ric Flair puts Bubba in a figure 4 as Batista hits the Tiger Bomb onto Devon and gets the 1, 2, 3.
I was like, "Do it, Kyle. Do it."
Fuck
Tiger Bomb.
Asshole Tiger Bomb. But Evolution now has both the Intercontinental Championship and the Tag Team Championships. Molly Holly Ivory. Big, you told me in DMs that you had a lot of thoughts on this match.
I did. Greatest women's match of all time.
Give me all of the details, all of the nitty gritty analysis on Molly Holly defending the women's title against Ivory.
The match consisted of a catapult over the ring, or the ropes from Ivory to Molly, and a smack from the exposed turnbuckle. I mean, that's pretty much the basis of what I got.
Whew. So this is a dead as a division can get at this point. Molly Holly's the champion. She's good. Like Molly Holly and Ivory, both good, whatever. Not trying to shit on them individually, but man, you got Trish and Lita involved in something else, and hasn't been any effort given to build anybody else. I don't even know if Gail Kim's still around or not. Like Victoria, I think they're about to turn her. So it's like not a lot going on right now. And apparently this match was just added based on the commentary in this match. It seems like it was, because commentary was fucking atrocious. It drove me crazy. Oh, yeah. First of all, it's so quiet. They were mumbling. Like, I don't know if this is like an audio level situation or if they're just like, I don't know what to say, so I'm just gonna mumble. Hopefully they won't hear me anyways. They're talking about how Molly is sexually frustrated. That's her character.
Entire time.
The entire fucking match. We got it.
It was just Jerry the King. The King was just like, Molly sexually frustrated. Molly sexually frustrated. Molly sexually frustrated. I'm like, dude, Molly is not sexually frustrated.
Like the gimmick, she's a virgin. That's her gimmick. And then JR actually prompts it. He's like, Molly, she has like a frustrated look on her face. I don't know if it's physically frustrated, emotionally frustrated, or and King's like, maybe sexually frustrated. And they go off for, I mean, the match isn't that long, thankfully, but the stuff, I mean, it was a classic 2003 women's match. Solid. They're working hard, but it's clearly rushed. No story. Nobody cares about Ivory, unfortunately. She's been a background character since Right to Censor. Molly Holly's fine here, but she's not super over either. So,
nobody cared. It was sad.
Holly wins, roll up, counters, whatever.
Right after she gets hit with the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
She's okay, guys. She's okay.
Well, yeah. So just a waste of time here. I don't even know why they bothered with this match. Honestly, I'd rather just give me Matt Hardy and Maven again. Who cares?
Yeah. Make that one longer. Nah, man. I mean, it sucked because like I do like Ivory. I do like Molly. I think they're both very talented wrestlers. I just think like now the women's division doesn't get the focus it deserves, and I feel like sadly it's just kind of like an afterthought altogether. 9 times out of 10, Ivory kind of Kiana James, who currently wrestles, kind of reminds me of what Ivory used to be. Like very talented. I think she can carry herself very well. It's just about getting the opportunities. And I feel like Ivory really didn't get many opportunities, even though how talented she was as well.
Mhm.
Molly, I think, was one of those wrestlers who, although she was absolutely phenomenal, didn't get the chances. And I think this match really kind of showcased what these women um, were getting as far as opportunities, and it was nothing. And it's sad. And it's sad that they made a mockery of these two women saying, like, oh, Molly's sexually frustrated and all this other shit. Like, you know,
It was so
you're
bad.
not in talent. And I think the women's division, oh man, the commentators kind of pissed me off on this match, to be
Well, it's
honest with
interesting, like about Ivory, like because I thought she killed it in Right to Censor. Like I thought her character work was awesome, and I'm surprised they never tried to capitalize on that after the fact. Like even as a different heel character, like she just shifted, just being a generic babyface women's wrestler who was never on screen, never had promo time. So how are we supposed to care about her? Like she has the tools to do something. It's like they didn't even
Right.
like Trish and Lita were great, like even better
Right.
than I think a lot of people remember. But they just put
So was
no effort.
Victoria.
So Victoria was good too. Molly's good too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, man. They had the tools, but didn't have. It was just the times, though. It was those the times. Women were eye candy, as we saw from the fucking cheerleader debacle early in
Stacy
the
Keith.
show.
Yeah. Mick Foley with the better cartwheel. Yep. 100%.
Course, the best cartwheel. But we have a little main event ski on our hands now. We got the World Heavyweight Championship on the line in a triple threat match. The champion Goldberg defending against Kane and Triple H. I guess I didn't hate this match. Like the whole thing is like Kane and Triple H are kind of teaming up on Goldberg until they don't, and then Kane kicks the shit out of Triple H, and then it all topples from there. But I don't know. I mean, I expected to hate this match because Goldberg and Triple H didn't really have good matches, but Kane has been probably the MVP of Raw in 2003, I would say. So I enjoyed his kind of interjection into this, but I don't know. Overall, what'd you make of this match here?
So, I mean, it sucks that you say that about Triple H because, like, I think during these times, Triple H wasn't having his best performances, and that really saddens me because I do love Triple H. I do think
Sure.
he's a really good wrestler. Um, so it kind of bums me out that he wasn't putting on the capable matches that we knew he could do.
He's been like
Um,
injured most of the year too. Like he had an injury in the beginning of the year with the matches with
yeah,
Scott Steiner. Then he had the groin injury and had to wear those fucking
yeah.
biker shorts. So I think he just now has gotten rid of the biker shorts. So I guess he's healed at this point, but I don't know.
Yeah, and at this point, Goldberg was what, champion for a month?
He won it at Unforgiven, which was September. So I think we're like 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the match was all right. It was fine. I mean, probably a 3.5 star out of 5.
Okay.
Um, so I mean, I've never really been the biggest Kane fan when he was unmasked. Like 2003 when he first unmasked, great. The whole stuff with Shane McMahon, Van
Yeah.
Dam, leading to this point, up until he feuded with The Undertaker at Mania, like he was golden. And then
Hmm.
just kind of sidelined. People afterthought. I mean, the whole thing with Snitsky, but that's neither here nor there. I never was a big fan of his. And I don't know what it was. And honestly, this era, this time, 2003, was the only time I've ever been a Goldberg fan. Um, my dad would shit on me because Goldberg is his favorite wrestler of all
You didn't
time.
like his WCW stuff?
At the time of WCW when he was there, I never watched it live. And I think if I would have watched it live, I would have been a bigger fan. But going back and watching it, knowing what I knew of Goldberg now, it just doesn't do
Hmm.
anything for me. So who knows? If I would have watched WCW back then and stuff, if I would have been a fan of it, like maybe it's possible. But like at this time, 2003, like I was like, Goldberg, fuck yeah. Like he was my
Interesting.
guy. But then like after that, like the whole match with Brock Lesnar at Mania that year following, just whatever.
Yeah.
After this championship reign, it was just kind of like fuck them. Um,
I was gonna
but I
say
mean,
like you talking about Goldberg here. Like, I'm wondering, does he already not give a shit? Do you think? Like, is he already have like one foot out the door?
I think so because you could kind of tell that he's just kind of like whatever. Um, and
I
it's
mean,
sad to see that because like you're
yeah.
still under contract. Like you should still wrestle to your fullest abilities or capabilities until your contract ends. Like how bad does that look on your behalf? Like, but whatever. I mean, they got him back eventually and all this other shit. So,
Yeah,
but I
they
mean,
definitely
Goldberg
redeemed
almost.
that match for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Goldberg pretty much died from the big boot from Kane early on in the match. Kane's propped
Yeah.
in the corner. Goldberg runs face first into his
Oh
boot.
yeah. Sick.
Fantastic. Loved it. Kane got cracked by a steel chair in the skull. Probably why his political views are shit. Um,
Yeah, trauma.
head,
Yeah, I mean, it's
head trauma.
like I said, Kane and Triple H are teaming up on Goldberg here, like right from the beginning. Goldberg has his
Yes.
bursts of offense on like he'll start beating up on Triple H, but then Kane will take him down from behind or vice versa. And that's kind of the story here. There's some miscommunications between Kane and H. Like you mentioned, Triple H swung a chair at Goldberg, but he ducked and hit Kane by accident.
Yep. I mean,
Then
there
they
was one part here too where Kane Triple H went for a neck breaker on Kane, and like he fell down before Kane can fall, and Kane's just like,
chair.
and I was like, dude, that has to be the ugliest neck breaker I've ever seen, and Kane just fucking falling back like he's fighting for his life.
At one point in this match, JR just outright says, "This match is bowling shoe ugly, but man, they're just gigging the shit out of it," or whatever he says. Yeah, neither guy is known for their finesse. Goldberg,
No,
Kane, Triple H, like it just looks like a gross combination on paper, but it had its moments. Like Kane choke slams Goldberg, or he attempts to choke slams him through the announce table, but the announce table doesn't budge, and then Triple H just puts him back on the table and does a little elbow drop off the barricade right there. He's like, "This table's gonna break, god damn it!"
I laughed so hard when Triple H is like to Kane, he's like, no, no, we're okay. And then Kane turns back and he's like, fuck you. It throws him to the fucking steps. He's like,
Yeah,
we're not teaming up against Goldberg. We're gonna go one-on-one here. And
dude.
I mean, Kane just gives him this stare like, are you fucking kidding me? And Triple H is like, no, my bad. I didn't do anything.
And then Kane grabs Goldberg, and then as Kane turns his back on Triple H takes him, runs him into the stairs, and then now Trips and Kane are fighting. They fight like on the ramp. At one point, Triple H goes for a pedigree, but Kane counters it into a backdrop on the ramp. They get in the ring.
He did that by the announce table.
Was it? Okay. Oh, there's a choke slam on the ramp is what happened later. Yes.
Murdered Hunter with a choke slam on the ramp. Just
yeah.
Triple H just laid out. Kane picks him up, starts carrying him to the ring. You know, like we're gonna end this now. You know, comes back into the ring, eats a spear for his troubles. Probably why Kane eventually put his mask back on. Just this match was so ugly that he was just like, I gotta hide in shame.
Maybe that's why he had it initially, but
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the finishing stretch here is interesting. So Goldberg spears Kane, then he spears Triple H. Then Randy Orton and Ric Flair come out to help Triple H. Goldberg takes them both out easily, hits another spear to Triple H, goes for the pin. Kane breaks it up. So it's just a weird, clumsy kind of finish here.
Yeah.
What's the deal with Goldberg and Kane just like choking each other? Like, are they seeing who's going to pass out first? Like, is that the story? Like, they got both guys like got the other guy goozled by the throat. Goldberg doesn't do choke slams. I don't know what he's thinking, but ultimately,
I got no comment there. I think they just wanted to see who would.
You're big into choking, so you probably don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, I'm big into choking. Choking is my favorite. Put
right.
Two arms. But yeah, no, I mean.
Choking is my favorite.
But no, I mean, I don't know. I always hate that scene where one guy chokes and the other guy chokes. Like, okay, one person's gonna get choke slammed. We know
I mean,
it's
it
gonna
works
happen.
when like it's two guys that do choke slams, but Goldberg doesn't do choke slams. So why is he all of a sudden grabbing a spear, the bald piece of shit?
Spare the
Jackhammer. No jackhammers in this match, by the way, which what is Goldberg without a jackhammer? Just a spear guy? Fuck him.
spear guy. And a guy who goes through announce tables almost.
Tries to.
Yeah, tries to. But I mean, we've seen Kane choke slam Goldberg eventually there, got the little choke slam up and drops him down. Batista comes out, grabs fucking Kane's legs, and then he doesn't even throw Kane back. He's just like holding him back, and Kane's like, no, let me get the pin. And then Triple H is like, shh.
We need to paint the whole story. So Goldberg and Kane are choking each other. They're choking each other, and then as they're choking each other, Triple H hits a low blow onto Goldberg, which allows Kane to choke slam Goldberg. And like you said, Batista pulls Kane, just kind of holds him back while Triple H makes the pin, which is important because a choke slam wouldn't normally take down Goldberg, but a low blow choke slam, I guess, is enough.
He got hit in the nuts pretty hard.
I guess. But whatever. Triple H wins, new champ. Triple H wins, lol. So now Evolution has all the gold, which is what this whole pay-per-view is here for, is for that closing shot. Trips with the world title, Flair and Batista with the tag straps, Orton with the Intercontinental title. So if they're trying to get Evolution over, I guess it was a success, but maybe.
And I think, in all honesty, this was the first time we've seen in a little bit was the whole faction winning gold at the same time. And I think that was the last time we've seen it up until the Cabinet when JBL and Orlando Jordan and the Bashams.
The Cabinet, bro. Is that your favorite? That's actually your favorite faction, right?
Oh, dude, I love me some Orlando Jordan.
Was it Mark Jindrak in that? Is that what you said?
No.
Oh, no, he was in Kurt Angle's group with
him, Luther Reigns, and Kurt Angle.
Dude, I'm so dreading going through 2004. Jesus fucking Christ.
I dread it for you, dude, because 2004 was not... That's when Charlie Haas teamed with Rico.
Oh, God. Nothing good's happening.
2004. The only good thing about 04 was Orton winning the title for the first time.
Against nobody, right? He just won. He just won the title. Who did he defeat? Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Yes. Don't look the match up. Just know he won.
Right.
Man. Yeah. But I mean, decent show. I mean, granted, I give it like a 3.2 out of 5 stars. I don't think it was anything specifically great, but I don't think it was one of the worst pay-per-views of all time. I think it had like its mixture of up and down. But there was some moments that spoke to you, especially with that final shot. Evolution winning the titles and all holding the titles up. That just kind of made Evolution for what they were, and I think that's what solidified them as one of the greatest factions of all time.
Yeah, there was enough good on this show to make it not like an all-time bad show, but man, that stretch from like once Shawn and Batista ended, and you had all that Maven, Matt Hardy shit. Then you had that tag team turmoil. Then you had the women's title match. There was like a stretch of like an hour where I was like, Jesus, can we just put a bullet in my dick and make this end? But yeah, not terrible. Got Evolution over, I guess. Now on to 04, where the greener pastures. I guess the first like quarter of 04 is kind of fun, right? You got Eddie winning the title, Benoit winning the title. You got some fun stuff in there.
No Way Out. 2004, Eddie winning the championship. I forgot about that, to be honest with you, because then you kind of tie in with the whole Benoit thing at WrestleMania, and you kind of don't want to remember that moment with Benoit. Like, you don't really want to remember any moments with Benoit, unfortunately. Tough you want to remember them all.
Yeah, it's a tough moment, WrestleMania 20, in hindsight, but SmackDown's pretty good. There's some stuff going on. It was Heidenreich. Heidenreich was actually on Heat. He was on the pre-show against Rico. So unfortunately, we missed that one.
We love John Heidenreich.
But you know who I love? It's you. You, buddy. Matt. In the Wrestling Corner. I love the Wrestling Corner as well. Appreciate you coming on. Once again, always a pleasure. Where can everybody find you, listen to you, watch you, taste you, all that stuff?
You could taste me at home.
Okay. That's all. What's your address?
What is the nearest police station? Siri, look that up. But no, for real. You can find me at TWCP Official, Wrestling Corner Podcast. I am rebranding. Used to be known as a pro wrestling podcast with Matt and Friends. I didn't have many friends anymore, so I just wanted to go ahead and be myself. So we rebranded to the Wrestling Corner Podcast. We'll be doing interviews back in starting in 2025 in January. You could catch Kyle in my prediction shows every month, running down the PLE cards, except for Crown Jewel coming up, but we'll be past that at the time, so we'll be back for Survivor Series. That's okay. Survivor Series is where it's at anyway. But you could catch me doing my thing at the TWCP Official.
When is Survivor Series? I may
end
be
of November, I think.
I think I might be in España at that point. But I guess I can call in, I can call you from Madrid, and we can talk some wrestling.
We can talk some wrestling because Kyle wants to get into winning some shirts. So
really, I just want to win so you guys don't have any shirts. I want to win your shirts. That's what we should actually fight for, is each other's clothing. Oh, people got to pay for that. People got to pay for that. Yeah.
Sorry.
Giving away your nipples
for a free show.
Hey, I got a question. Do you got a hairy nipples?
I do. Yes.
But see my chest? I don't have a lot of chest hair, but I got hair around the nipples, like pretty much exclusively.
My hair is like all weird, all here. So I really don't try to be topless on camera, but I will if I have to be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you try not to be, but sometimes it just calls for it.
I'm like Gibby from iCarly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta be without my shirt.
Gibby from iCarly. Yeah,
dude.
What's he doing now? Didn't he just get arrested or something?
Probably for taking his shirt off.
He was in the news for some reason. Not to turn this into the iCarly podcast, but
we should start one of those. I think that'd be very fun.
All right, so the iCarly podcast starts now. What's your favorite Dan Schneider moment?
Oh man, the one where he didn't touch kids.
Okay,
I guess.
Once again, thank you to Matthew from Wrestling Corner Podcast for joining me on this show. Always a good old time with Matt. He's a good boy, handsome boy. I want to just pinch his cheeks and cook his body until it's nice and crispy when I see him. So go check out the Wrestling Corner Podcast wherever you watch podcasts, mainly YouTube. All of his info will be in the description below or above, whatever. I don't know. Maybe some things have it above. Yeah, I think that's all Daddy has for you guys today. Appreciate you guys listening. Appreciate you guys watching, tasting, baby. Well, anyways, get out of here. Love you guys. Mwah.
Yeah.
I'm hard.
It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.